Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I set up the ToneX and ToneX cab for live use. That's right. I'm going to show you my particular process. It might help you sort of get better tones out of your setup if you're using this particular rig. Now, while this hasn't replaced my tube amps, I do take it out to the jam nights, and I plan on taking it out again with this guitar, which I recently got serviced and back in my possession. I played this for the first time last Sunday. I just took it straight from the shop. I did take it home, but then I took it straight down to the jam, and I was a bit out of sorts on it. But I've been playing it most of this week, and I love the sound of this. I also just love its vibe. It's such a vibrant guitar, and I want to share with you the process for setting up some tones. So I've already set up my 3 main patches or presets for my Fender Telecaster or any single coil guitar, whether that's the Strat or Kiesel, whatever. But I wanted to set it up for humbuckers, which means I'm looking for a different kind of sound in my head that kind of works better with this particular type of guitar, with the output of these pickups, all that kind of thing. And there's a few things that I always think about when I dial this kind of stuff in. The first thing, I've got the amp back. So the cabinet is quite a ways back and the little pedal is right on the desk here. Secondly, I have all the EQ flat and I have the volume on it up. Now what I've noticed with this, much like a tube amp, and it's always the way, you kind of have to turn it up to get the most out of it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It's a bit weird like that. I would have thought the tone would be the same no matter which volume you're at, but it isn't the same. It's way more compressed and sort of chuggy with the volume down. And as I turn it up past about 9 o'clock or so, it really starts to give you the sound that you'll get when you play live at a louder volume. So that's where I've got it set. So always think about the room you're playing in and set it up accordingly. Knowing that I'll have this at about 10 o'clock, maybe 11, depending on the room, I'm setting it up in a way that will be familiar to me there. And I'm not setting it up at a low volume, taking it out, and then I'm going to be dissatisfied with the tone. So that's the first step. Always make sure you have the cabinet up at the right volume for your particular needs. Now what I'm going to do is just basically take the 3 tones that I really like, which are based on the Dumble Overdrive Special, and then I'm going to move them to a different bank and then use that with the Flying V or PRS SE Custom 24 or my Kiesel, whatever, right? So any of my humbucker guitars should hopefully work well with the tones we end up with, and I'll switch guitars at the end. But I'm going to dial it in on this because I think I'm going to start playing this a little bit more because it's back and it smells like birthday cake. I don't know what that smell is, but it's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look on screen. So the way I've got this set up is as I switch buttons on here, it's just switching between the 3 presets, and that's it. It means I don't have to fiddle with anything. It's just nice and simple, and I prefer to run this in this particular way without any of the bank options or anything like that. I just want it to work. So I'm going to copy A down to Plexi, and I hit overwrite. I'm going to move blues down to B in Plexi, and I go to override again, and I do the same with my lead. And the reason why I'm doing this way is because it's a good starting platform. I already know that this is the sound that I really like. And if you haven't found a sound in here that you really like, just experiment around with some of the presets until you find one that kind of, you know, checks the box or ticks the box for your ear and what you like. And this is where we're at. So we're going to go over to this clean tone. Now what you're hearing is the microphone about 1.5 feet back from the amplifier because it's got 2 speakers in there. That's not like just a single speaker job like most amps. So you're going to hear a sort of like blend between both of them, but have a listen. For me personally, while it sounds good, it's just a little on the compressed side. So I'm going to back the gain off a little bit, and this is the clean channel, right? I'm going to back the bass off a little bit, turn the treble up just a hair here. Let's have a listen to this. To me, that sounds pretty good. It's kind of like a good sort of comping sound. All right, now if we take a look at what else is going on here, I've got a compressor and it's currently on. I'm going to turn this off. So let's try this. I actually don't like that as much, so I'm going to put that back on for a moment. And I'm also going to just adjust the EQ a little bit more. I'm going to bring maybe down the mids and bass a little bit more. Let's have a listen to this. Not too bad. So it just gets into that hair of breakup sound when I dig in. And that's pretty cool. I might just add just a hair more drive back into that. Maybe just boost the presence a little bit more here. But as you can see, this is a really simple signal chain. All I've got is reverb on, and that's how I've got it set with plate. Whoa, that's my tone control. That's great. That's the clean tone in my head, which is nice. So what I'm going to do now is hit save. I'll rename these later so I don't get confused, but that's the first one. Now, this is something that I always think about anytime I'm doing this particular type of exact thing with any amp that's got, you know, digital multi-effects processing, whatever, right? So if we go over to B, we want to take note of where the model volume is. So it's 12 o'clock on clean. As we go over to the overdrive special, breaking number 80, it's called, you can see that the volume goes up. This is exactly what I want to happen. Now we'll have a quick listen. It's just a bit too compressed. So I'm going to bring down the bass and mids a little bit more. Bring up the treble. A little bit more on the presence. Let's have a listen. That's neck pickup. Let's try bridge. Yeah, that's a great sound, nice and bluesy. Now the big thing that I always look for, that's with the volume obviously all the way up, but what you want to do is also be able to turn down on both pickups, this is neck again, and get a really nice sort of off clean sound. So that's with the volume like basically all the way off almost. To me, that actually sounds pretty great. It means when I turn down, it's nice and clean. If I turn the volume back up, this is all I'm doing. So I want that to be like my first overdrive blues stage, which works great for rhythm with my volume down. Then as I turn up, I've got my lead sound. Might just experiment with a tad more drive. Let's bring it back up a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit too much mids or low end here. Let's try this. Yeah, I want the low end to be there, but without it sort of getting flubby. And to me, that sounds pretty nice. I'll just bring it up just a fraction. So somewhere around there. That's the tone control. Neck pickup, and this is bridge. I feel like I need to turn up slightly, so I'm going to do that. And now I've got the volume on the amp cranked up a little bit more. It wasn't probably quite loud enough for me to set it up properly. So let's have a listen to this. All right, now we're getting a better understanding of the tone. So. That tone control needs to be the volume control. Now what I'm feeling in the room is it feels very much like any of my good amps behind me here, where when I dig in, it's giving me a lot of that sort of, as I'm playing the higher frequency notes, I'm still hearing like a low end overtone, which is really cool. So I'm actually really happy with that tone. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to go back to the clean and just have a quick listen here. Probably just needs a little bit less bass still, maybe a little bit more presence and treble. Let's have a listen. I like to play clean on my neck pickup more than anything else. All right, that sounds great. Now let's set up this third one. I realized I copied the wrong one across, so let's do this. Now this is the lead tone. So if we take a look at the model volume and the gain and all that kind of stuff, you can see that it's quite a bit louder. And this is what I want. I want them to cascade in terms of volume. So from clean to blues to lead, it's progressively getting louder. Now on the EQ here and gain control, you can see we've got more drive. I'll just start with this to see what kind of vibe we get. So that's my lead tone, which I generally will play a bit of neck pickup with, but also I love the bridge pickup tone for lead solo. So I tend to kind of think more about my bridge pickup tone in this position. But you can see that, yeah, again, we've got the volume cranked, and there's also a little bit of tape delay on there, which is just adding some niceness to the solo tone. And again, this is very reminiscent of the tone prior to it, but with more drive. Now, when I first made some presets, I changed it over to the lead channel on the Dumble, which was too compressed. Just in the context of a live mix, it didn't sound as good as the blues channel. So I'm doing it this way, and we're going to see how well it works, you know, actually in the real world here. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this sounds. I'm just going to back the bass off. I might actually bring the drive up a hair, bring the treble up a little bit more, and the presence up a little bit more, and we'll try this. Let's have a listen. Neck. Woo! I dig it. I dig it. So what we're going to do now is hit save. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it how long can it be? Let's call it FLV for Flying V. And we're going to rename that. Rename this next one FLV. And we're going to rename this one. The reason I keep the names short is so when I'm looking at the screen, I can see exactly what it is, right? Like, let me get my face out of there. You can see that that is the lead, over to blues, and then over to this one is clean. So that's how I want to see it. I just want to look down and know exactly where I'm at. So let's have a play through these and see how, or hear how it sounds. So that's the neck pickup. Over to the blues one, starting with the volume control down, not the tone control. So that's great. That's kind of like my sound with my Royal Flush and my amps, but with this. So that's cool. Volume up. Bridge. And over to my lead tone. Now, one of the reasons why I put the speaker this far back is because I can hear all the treble that's coming out, and that is, to me, just a little bit too bright. So I'm just going to bring down the presence, maybe just notch down the treble slightly. Let's have a listen to this. And again, you're listening to a kind of pseudo room microphone right now and not a DI out, because that's a different sound again. So yeah, again, I'm dialing this in based on my ear. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, I think the trick to getting the most out of this, at least what I've kind of experimented around with, is just turning the compressor off unless you really need it. It can sound okay on the clean side of things, but once you start talking about drive, it basically kills your dynamics. So you're losing volume in terms of maximum volume, or it's bringing everything under a threshold and bringing all the quiet parts up. So as you dig in, it's not really giving you as much back. And I find just leaving that off really works well. If you want to add some modulation for whatever reason, go ahead and do that. But this is how I kind of think about things. And if I was starting with, you know, a completely different amplifier, I would just use my ear to do this exact process. So start with a great clean channel, go over to a mid-level blues or crunch tone, and then like a high gain lead tone. And I think for consistency, at least, what I've learned with this is the higher gain lead tone and the blues tone should be of the same amplifier. It sounds a lot better rather than going from like a dumble to like a boogie. It's going to sound completely different in the mix. So if you're a live player and you want to run 3 sounds, this is my process, at least right now, after having this for a little while now, about dialing it in for some live use. So I hope you found this helpful. And again, the trick is get the cabinet further back in the room, try it in a different room, see how it responds and sounds, and if there's too much low end going on or whatever, at least you'll know, because you're at the proper volume you should be at if you're doing the gig. And everybody's situation is different. I always recommend, even with modeling amps, you know, if you've got an all-in-one Fender Mustang 3 or whatever, dial it in at the volume that you're going to be using it at, because that way you know exactly what you'll be getting out of it. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.